Happy 2026. It is officially the new year. Okay, it's a few weeks into the new year. I am slow on the uptick. So sorry. However, I just wanted to come on and share my reading progress, my reading journey, if you will, because 2025 was one of the best reading years of my life. And I had so much fun reading a lot of these books. And I feel like I also learned a lot while reading all these books. Well, not all of these books. Some of them were not very educational. Even when the whole like you can learn empathy from, no, some of them were just floofy fun reads, and that's okay. We're allowed to have those kind of reads. But I wanted to share some of my favorite reads from 2025 because there's nothing I enjoy more. I don't have any greater source of joy outside of storytelling. Hearing other people's stories, whether it's through song, whether it's through books, whether it's through media of any kind, funny videos, like stories from your friends. That's my ultimate joy. I love storytelling. And these were some of my favorite stories of 2025. And I just felt like I had to share them. It is a top 10 list of 2025, but I have some honorable mentions. And also, forgive me in advance, I am reading off a few little notes here just to keep myself on track because I don't want to go on it in tangents. Um, so we'll be kind of going back and forth, but I'm going to try to focus on you guys, I swear. My first honorable mention is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. It's right here. I actually thought I had read it in 2024, but I looked back at my reading log and it actually was one of the very first books I finished in 2025. It was fantastic. I loved the world that I was sucked into. I think I'm going to have to read more Chloe Gong. Full disclosure, I have not read the second book in the series yet because I thought it was going to be a duology, but I think it's actually a trilogy and the third book is not out yet. So I'm going to wait closer until the release date of the third book to read the second one because for me, I can read the first book and then wait a little bit until the second book. But once I finish the second book, I need that third book right away. So we're going to wait on that one. But Immortal Longings, Chloe Gong, fantastic. Another honorable mention. Oh, I loved this book. It was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Tragic, yes. Unfortunately, I felt like it was pretty accurate too. Unfortunately, if you know what the storyline is. And this is not a book for storylines. I can deep dive into some books if you're curious, but this is not this video. That's not this video. I just thought it was beautiful and I loved the ending and it was heartbreaking and it was eye-opening, but it was so good. Really sad though. It's definitely, I have like at-home books and I have in public books. It is not an in public book. It is an at-home book where you have to be able to feel what you're reading. But that's just me. I get really emotional about books in general, so I tend to show all of my emotions on my face while I'm reading. Whoops. Next honorable mention. I only have two more, I promise. Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This one came out of nowhere. It just like, oh, okay, hi. Because it was supposed to be like a little fluffy read. And it was a little fluffy read. Like it's pretty average romantasy. It's nothing crazy original, nothing crazy. Well, actually, it's pretty original. Honestly, it's kind of original. But there's something about that book that just connected to me and it stuck with me. I don't know if it's a revolutionary book, but I mean, it's good. And I was surprised by how good it was. And maybe that's why it stuck with me so long. But not good enough to make it into my top 10, but definitely good enough to mention. And last one, this one just barely missed the top 10 by a hair, but I highly recommend Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterica. So good. I don't even know what to say without giving it away. It is pretty, really dark. It's pretty dystopian. Not pretty, it is dystopian. It's pretty dark, but it was so good. Shocking, but really good. Highly recommend. And it's a quick read too. It was only about 200 pages or so. Highly, highly recommend if you like creepy, weird, horror-y books. So good. Okay, now this is when I'm really going to be looking at my notes, so apologies, but I have specific things that I want to say about each of these books, and I want to make sure I get my point across without rambling. Number 10, I'm going to go from 10 to 1, so not like worse, because none of these books are bad. They're my top 10 favorites, but I'm going to go backwards order, right? I'm going to go ascending order, not descending order. smarty pants me. I'm probably going to keep that in too. Okay, number 10. This was a book I'm really excited I read it. I was really intimidated by it, but I'm really glad I read this one. It was Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, which also just the cover, the side. I almost didn't even buy this book, and I'm really glad I did because it's a special edition, and I'm not a huge special edition person because they cost a little bit more, and I'm like, why pay more if I want the book, not the prettiness? But I am kind of glad I got the pretty one because this is a really nice cover. Anyway, beside the point. See, this is why I need notes, guys. This is why I need notes. This book only intimidated me because of the author. It's R.F. Kuang. If you read fantasy, you know who she is. It's my first Kuang book. And I was really hesitant. I couldn't decide if I wanted to start with Catabasis or Babel. Both of them very much niche, but this kind of fits into all of my little niches that I love to read about. So it had Dark Academia. Obviously, it was fantasy. And then we had also A Trip to Hell. Yes. Yes, please. And it's also, with the Dark Academia, there was philosophy sprinkled in. There was the mythology of the different hells. I thought it was so interesting. So really, really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I started with this one. After I closed the book, I did start to think, because as I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, chalk magic, chalk ritualistic drawing, that's so original, that's so cool. And I had seen an interview with her where she talks about, making magic addictive, making it like an addictive substance. And that's cool. I really only saw that in one scene, so I wouldn't say it carried across. If she wanted all of the magic in general to be kind of addictive, I didn't get that vibe. I only got it in one particular scene. And if you've read the book, you probably know the scene I'm talking about. But as I was thinking after the book, during the moment, in the moment, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I still agree, it's an amazing book. But I was like, maybe it's not as original of a magic system as I thought, because it is new. It just came out last year. It is a 2025 release. But the magic system reminds me a lot of Heartless Hunter, which I have thoughts on that book. Maybe not necessarily good thoughts on that book. I have thoughts. But it reminded me of the magic system in there with the ritual sense and the drawing sense. But it also reminded me of, what was it? The anime Full Metal Alchemist. I haven't watched it since high school. I haven't really watched any anime since high school. And even in high school, I didn't watch a lot. So my memory could be fuzzy and I could be wrong. But isn't it similar to the magic in Full Metal Alchemist? I thought it was. I don't know. It struck me as not super original after I sat with the book for a little bit. Still fantastic. I still loved it. And there are so many things that I do love about it. So for example, the fairy tale references. Peter, as in Peter Pan, Peter Murdoch as Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland. Love that. I love those little sprinkles, but she also has different mythologies from different parts of the world. So she has different representations of hell. And I thought her visual of hell, if you haven't read the book, it's essentially as they're going through hell, they're going through the different levels of hell, like in Dante's Inferno. Somebody said you had to read that before reading this. You don't have to do that. You're good. There might be some references that you understand better because you read it. I haven't read it, so probably there are, but I haven't read it and I'm good. So you don't need to read. There is no prior reading required for this book for it to be a fun, enjoyable book. Anyway, goes through the different levels of hell, and her portrayal of hell is just academia. It's just going through the different parts of being a grad student. And I thought that was really interesting. So there are definitely parts that I really, really enjoyed. And I'm eyeing Babel for my next Kuang book. I'm really glad I started with this. So Catabasis or Catabasis, she really doesn't care. She said multiple times she doesn't care how you pronounce her books. But it was fantastic. Highly recommend. This was my number 10. Number 9 is actually the second book in a series, not the first book. I tend to like second books better. It's Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. It's the second book in the, what's the name of in the Shepherd King duology. The first one is One Dark Window. I liked this one a lot better. One Dark Window was good. It was good, but it wasn't like amazing. Do you know what I mean? I would call myself a cautiously optimistic Rachel Gillig fan. I enjoyed this, but I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about this duology, the series, and this book in particular, was the magic system. It's like a tarot card system, and I found that so cool. It was really cool. But in the first book, there were, in this book too, honestly, there were some pacing inconsistencies. I know it's her first series. One Dark Window was her first book. This is her second book. I get that. So I give her a little bit of grace there. But I didn't really feel a connection to the characters in the first book. So I was really only reading for the magic in this one. But this one was a lot better. I thought it was better written. The pacing was better. Still a little bit inconsistent, but really fun to read. Oh, and so this one follows different characters. Like, you still have the characters from the first one, but it's different characters in this one. I loved Elm's development. I loved Ione's development, and honestly, the monster's development too. It was great. I still don't really care that much. I liked Raven more in this book than I did in the first one. I don't really care that much about, I don't remember what her name is, the main character, Elspeth. Meh. But Elm and Ione, Ione in particular, I thought was a really interesting character. So, very much enjoyed it. This one was my number 9. I might surprise some people with where this book is on my list. Obviously, it's still top 10. So, like, I loved it. But my number 8 was Sunrise on the Reaping. I read Sunrise and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I read them back to back. So I read Ballad first, and then I finished just in time to read this for the release. That's why it's why all of my other Hunger Games are paperback, and this one is hardcover. It's okay. I'll be okay. The paperback comes out soon, so I might be, maybe, I don't know. Quite honestly, considering my decades long, because do you know the first book is almost 20 years old? In 2028, it will be 20 years old. Anyway, despite that decades long obsession, it's kind of scandalous how low this is on my top 10. But it's not the original trilogy. I love the original trilogy. I'm actually rereading it right now so I can I'm trying to be a more active reader in certain books, not in every book, because I feel like it's a little bit much to do it for every book. If it's your thing, great. Not my thing for every single book. But I'm trying to read deeper into the Hunger Games, and I'm not even halfway through the first one, and I just like it better. I love Haymitch. I love the characters they introduced, and some of the characters that you recognized in this book. But I mean, if I'm being truthful, if I'm being totally honest, I feel like, what is it? Songbirds and Snakes, it was a better written book. It just was. This was a really good book in an emotional way. And for me, that's what makes a difference in storytelling, is the emotion. I connected to this book a lot more emotionally, and all of the Poe references. If you don't know, Edgar Allan Poe is like my guy. I love him. That connection, and Haymitch being Haymitch, and Haymitch becoming even better, which I didn't think was possible, that's what made this one top out Songbirds and Snake. But I can recognize that it's not her best written book. Especially, nope, that's a tangent. We're not doing the tangent. But I said in my notes I'm certain I'm going to make another video just on the Hunger Games. It's probably going to end up being a series, because decades long obsession, guys. I have thought about it almost daily since I read that first book back in middle school. Loved it. Okay, where am I? 7. We're at number 7. Number 7 This one caught me by surprise. This one, it was a wild ride from beginning to end, and I loved it. It was already kind of on my TBR. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and I had it in my library. I just hadn't gotten around to reading it. And then a couple years ago, yeah, I'm really slow. I'm so sorry. I'm slow to get recommendations. But my friend bought the physical copy for me, not knowing it was on my TBR. She's like, you're going to understand why I need you to read this when you get to the point. And I said, okay, cool. And I finally got around to reading it. It's The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Also, just a moment for that cover. Creepy, cool, love. So good. And I do understand absolutely why she needed me to read this. I don't know if everybody's going to connect with this book the way I connected to it. Maybe because of that those conversations that I've had with my friend. But it was so good. It was creepy. It's mysterious. It's heartbreaking. It's fantastic. I love whatever writing style, whatever we would categorize Catriona Ward as. I'm sold. I'm down. I've got it. This is mine. I have 2 other books from her that I've got lined up for this year, and I don't know which one I'm going to go with next, but I'm excited regardless. I'm about to sneeze. Ugh. No, I'm good. This is my number 7, The Last House on Needless Street. You get chapters from the perspective of a cat, and it's not weird. It's not weird. How do you do that? So good. Number 6. It is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Goodness gracious. If you were to ask me who my favorite author was, I couldn't choose just one. I have a lot of authors that I love. Leigh Bardugo is top 3. She is top 3. I adore her. But what's different about me than most Leigh Bardugo fans, not all, but most, I did not read Shadow and Bone until the very end of 2024. I have been a Leigh Bardugo fan since 2019 because originally I read, I don't think you can see it here. No, it's a little bit above. My very first Bardugo book was Ninth House. Love that. That is one of my favorite books of all time. And then immediately jumped into that, the sequel to that, Hellbent. Fantastic. Another Trip to Hell. I love it. I'm gonna be honest, I liked that Trip to Hell better than Catabasis, but still very good books, both of them. And then after that, I read The Familiar, which is a little controversial. Some people like it, some people don't, from Bardugo. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and I loved the lyrical prose. So I am already a huge Bardugo fan at this point. I read Shadow and Bone, didn't love it. I thought it was okay, cool, okay, fine, interesting universe. Took me a minute to kind of get into like the series. The second and third books, they were good. They were a lot better, but still pretty stereotypical YA. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed. And that was the end of 2024 when I went through that journey, right? So then fast forward to this past spring of 2025, my coworker, who knows me pretty well, she knows my reading style pretty well, she's like, okay, just try Six of Crows. Just try it. I said, okay, sure, I'll try it. It was amazing. It would have been my number 6, until I read this one. And I went through every emotion you can go through in a book in the best way possible. I think it's a masterclass in character development, in story development, in setup, because she's also set it up for King of Scars and Rule of Wolves so well. I haven't read those yet. Those are going to be in my 2026 like hopefuls. But this was it was so good. I have so many thoughts and feelings. I might do a video just on Leigh Bardugo because I just love her so much. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, because I read Six of Crows and then a month later Crooked Kingdom. They're both fantastic. If I could do doubles, it would be both of them here together. But this is the better of the two because you've gone through all of the development and then I love it. Okay, we're on to top 5. I don't know if you can tell, I'm getting more and more excited because we're getting to my favorite books. Um, okay, I have a little bit of a confession before I bring this next one up. My education in classics, not on anybody's fault, it's on my own. Like, I read all the books I needed to read in school, but it's still a pretty limited and gappy foundational, like, classics education. We're working on it in 2026. We are, and already off to a great start with it. Anyway, we're working on building that. So part of building that was to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I am particularly ashamed that I haven't read this book because, one, it's not very long. It's like 150 pages. And number two, she created a freaking genre. One of my favorite genres. Sci-fi? I have a sci-fi book still coming up on this list, probably more than one, honestly. But this was a great place to start with my classics education. I'm going to be teaching myself, and it's a whole journey. I probably will bring you guys on it. Regardless, this was so good. It did intimidate me because I was worried it wasn't going to live up to the hype that is Mary Shelley. It did, absolutely. Now, you might think, reading the text exchange between my friend and I, that I did not enjoy this book. One might think, if they were to listen in on the conversations I had with my father, just railing on Victor Frankenstein and how much I could not stand that man, you would think that I hated this book. No. I did not hate this book because, yeah, oh my God, I'm fumbling over my words because it is so opposite of true. I loved this book. When a book can make you feel as strongly as I felt about Mr. Frankenstein and his creation, that's art. That's art. And that's why she created a genre with this. It was incredible. How could you not love it? It tore me to shreds. Like, look at all the tabs that I have. I don't know if you can see. I tabbed it up like a bunch. And it's also one of the first books I wrote in the margins for. The first book that I did write in the margins for is actually on this list. You'll see it later. But it's so good. It's heartbreaking. Her prose is beautiful. The way that she describes nature is just, it's so beautifully written. It's so well done. It made me exquisite. That's a word that I would use for this book. Exquisite. I'm losing my mind over how much I love this book. And I am being a bit dramatic, but I'm kind of a dramatic person, so that's okay. I loved it. Now, my number 4, my number 3, they were pretty close, but I think my number 3 edged out a little bit on this one, but only a little bit. My number 4 was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was gorgeous. When I talked about the prose in Frankenstein, like, her writing style was gorgeous, beautiful, exquisite, I said. This one might be more beautiful to me. Well, it's more lyrical than prose heavy. Prose would be like the longer, if I understand correctly. Prose is the longer, more, not convoluted, but you have to listen and go along for the ride in prose. This was just lyrical and atmospheric and beautiful. And look at the cover. It's so pretty. Anyway, but I used to say that I'm not a huge fan of slow build books. I really don't tend to gravitate towards slower paced, like, stories. I usually like fast actiony kind of books. My top 5 this year totally blows that out. Aside from one, all slow builds, all atmospheric almost. This one I would say is atmospheric for sure. And my number 1 for sure I would use atmospheric. But they're all slower paced and you have to kind of collect little tidbits as you go. I love that. I love that. I didn't think I liked that, but I love that. This is the biggest example of, oh, so that's why she included this. And I love it. It's such a beautiful story. If I could visit the night circus, I would every day. I would. Oh, it's so good. It made me laugh. It made me cry. I wanted to see if anybody has ever illustrated this or has made like a short animated film of this or something like that. If anybody knows anything about that, I need to see it because I need to see some of these booths and these tents come to life. It would be amazing. It spoke to my soul. I loved it. Another one that spoke to my soul and another one that intimidated the hell out of me was Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I was so afraid of this because it's Sanderson. He has like a bajillion books. So like, okay, if I end up liking this, being the kind of reader I am, I'm stuck with him. There's no getting out of his, okay, let's be honest, it's a cult. Sign me up. I am in. Where's my entry packet? Like, let's go. We're in. We're done. We're sealed. We're part of it. This is amazing. This is the coolest magic system I have ever read in my life. I'm so ready to read. I finished the third book, the final book in the trilogy, this January. So just like a couple weeks ago, honestly. Oh, I have felt every emotion that you can feel just in this book, but then again and again in the next books. I'm almost speechless thinking about it. That's why I have my notes here. Because, oh my gosh, first chapter, I was hooked. It's a heist with a bunch of thieves trying to take down a tyrannical regime, already there. But while they're at it, while they're taking down this tyrannical emperor, Lord Emperor, oh, by the way, he's God. They're going to try to kill him. What? Yes. And again, the coolest magic system I have ever read. I think the only magic system that might rival it, this one still wins, but the only magic system recently that I've read that might rival this magic system would be the Two Twisted Crowns, the tarot card magic. But still, this one is cooler. He's worth it. He's worth the read. Another slow build, very slow pacing, but oh my God, it pays off. It's so good. It's not even the best book in the trilogy. It's my number 2 book in the trilogy. But Hero of Ages, just wait till my January wrap up. Oh my God. Okay. So the next one, I'm not even going to do a whole thing. It's the Dungeon Anarchist. Yeah. The Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook by Matt Dinniman. This is the third book in the third book? Yeah, this is book 3 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Anybody that knows me at all, even a little bit, just in passing, you might hear me talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl because, okay, I am obsessed with it. It is so good. I did not expect to like this series as much as I did. I was swept up in the hype, and it has lived up to the hype, and each book keeps getting better. I read 4 books in 2025. I just finished this 5th book, honestly, like a few days ago, not even a full week ago. I just finished the 5th book. I've got the 6th one lined up, and I am ready to go purchase the 7th one. I am hooked. Each book keeps getting better, and that's true for these too. But this has got everything that I love in a good. Oh, okay. I'm getting emotional. I'm getting excited because when I talk about sharing joy, I need somebody in my life that I know that has read this book. My friend is reading the series with me, but I read faster than she does. And she also has a lot going on, and she's also a mood reader. We both are, so I get it. I'm not upset that she's not at this book, but I need someone to talk to because I haven't read the whole series, so I don't want to go online. Anyway, this is why I go on tangents. Okay, what I loved about this book. There's so much I could say. I could certainly see how this, it's not for everyone. I get it. It's kind of weird. I'm kind of weird, so we vibe. We're good. That's why we get along. Dinnaman, I think, does an excellent job balancing absurd situations, humor from the characters, and this, like, despite the situation they're in, and also the heartbreaking truths that happen just in life, that are just part of life, but also part of what they're going through in life. Granted, it's a very specific case, but when it's like they talk about art reflecting life in some strange, crazy way, he makes it happen. Art reflects life here. Um, it is equal parts. Hold on, I feel so official with this review. It is equal parts exciting action, humorous Star Trek-esque sci-fi elements, and hard-hitting devastation and grief, like portrayal of grief and going through what they're going through, because they're dealing with, yeah, their planet collapsed and they're trying to come back. Like, we can't relate with that, but we can relate with grief. We can relate with loss, and we can relate with moving so fast that you don't feel the loss until it's there. You have a second to breathe, and then you feel it. And that he does it so well. Plus, uh, like most pieces of media that I consume and that I adore, there's also like a little nice bit of anti-establishment, revolutionary, like, you know, that kind of, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I lost my words, but we love taking down tyrannical regimes, as you saw with my Hunger Games session and Mistborn. I love a good takedown. I could go on and on and on and on and on. I already have gone on and on and on and on and on about these books, but that's not why we're here today. I likely will make another video just on these books because they've taken over my life in, some might say, the worst of ways. I would say the best of ways. This one, it's a little controversial that it's my favorite because, like I said, I finished the first 4. And a lot of people have feelings about this book because, yes, it is confusing. No, the Iron Tangle does not make sense. I don't think it's supposed to. I think it is, I love it. I love it so far, except for the book that I just recently finished. I think that one is my number 1. This would be close after it, but I can't put that one in here because it was 2026 read. Of my 2025 DCC reads, this one is my favorite because it just has everything I love. It's a major turning point for Carl specifically, and I love to read turning points. It's why I love Catching Fire as much as I do. I like when characters are starting to see the truth and starting to change their actions because they're getting a clear goal in mind. And that's what's happening with Carl here, and I love it. And it is, it took a little bit to not even get into it, because I was into it from the start just because I trust Dinnaman and I trust that he's going to bring it all together. But I can't go into too much detail. I'm trying to choose my words and not say anything, because if you know too much, it's going to ruin things at the end and even things later on in the series. So I don't want to do anything to spoil stuff. I will say this book is exactly as confusing as it needed to be, and it will make as much sense as it needs to make by the end. I think that's a safe way of putting it. But I loved it. It was really good. It was really good. Brings us to our number 1 book of the year. This might be one of my favorite books of all time. It might. I read it about 6 months ago, and I think about it and I go, oh my God, it was so good. I still have that reaction to it. It's Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Gorgeous cover, gorgeous book. This is the first book that made me start marking in the margins. You can see when I changed, because I did not start, I tabbed, yes, but I did not start marking in the margins until I think maybe 50 pages in. And then it's just so good. All the reviews told me that I read and that I watched, because a lot of people on my TikTok told me to read this. They all said to go in blind, and they are all very, very correct. So I will not spend too much time talking about it because I don't want to give anything away from the plot, and I don't want to ruin the reading experience, because part of that experience is just the journey that you take on this book. It's so good. Um, this is potentially one of the best books I've ever read. It has, like I said, it's 6 months, and it takes my breath away. It's got gorgeous world building, beautiful prose, intriguing and super interesting plot, and you have to keep going because you have to know what happens with our main character. You have to know. Uh, and again, I didn't think I liked slower paced books, but this is not a fast paced book at all. Not at all. And it was gripping to the very end. I loved it. Uh, yeah, I think that's all I can say without ruining it. If you have not read this book and you like fantasy, because it is very fantastical. It's super atmospheric. It like, you have to be a fantasy fan, I think, to really appreciate it. I could be wrong, but I think it's so beautiful. I highly recommend. So yeah, there are my 10 plus a few honorary mentions. Favorite books from 2025. If you've read them and you want to talk about them, please feel free to comment or just message me. I will always talk about books, especially books that I like, especially books that give me strong emotions. So feel free to reach out. I'm here. I'm a pretty friendly person. I usually like to talk. Yeah. Have a good night. That was a weird ending. I don't think I'm going to end that way. Anyway, yay.